welcome back to the Fit Couples Perspective. We are in a car, as you can tell. We knew that we were driving for a little bit, and I am going to a cheer competition this weekend, so we knew we weren't going to be able to get a episode in otherwise. So we are here to talk to you guys all about nutrition and food and everything you ever wanted to know about what to eat to lose weight. So this is a good episode.
This is a good episode. But before we get into that, I think it's, just the fact like that we're doing this in the car.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people out there that are listening or watching that are probably in the same boat in that you're really busy.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I just don't have time to do the kind of things I want to do. And we feel that way a lot, but and that's why even finding some circumstances that maybe it's not ideal, like do we ideally want to record a podcast in a car? No.
Yeah.
We'd much rather be doing it elsewhere, but I think where there's a will, you'll find a way. And so that's my encouragement is like, hopefully as part of what we do here is helping other people to see like you can have a busy life, and here's some of the ways that we get into things that we want to do, and perhaps there's an opportunity for you to take some inspiration from that. Not to say we're all inspirational, but there's always a way. There's always a way to get stuff done. I think so many people are handicapped by the idea that, I can't. I'm going to be driving in the car, or I can't get a workout in. I only have 30 minutes, or, I can't meal prep. I don't even have a barbecue or whatever it is. So, there's a lot of things out there that prevent people from taking action just because they can't find that perfect scenario.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be perfect. So let's talk about nutrition.
Yeah, and this episode is definitely not going to be perfect. The camera might fall down at some point, but hopefully it doesn't. Okay, so with nutrition and with, this title is a little, it's not clickbait. It really isn't, because these are tested and true things that both Michael and I have done to lose weight. So I'm going to start with Michael, because Michael's is like pretty, I feel like his is very like, I don't know, I don't want to say basic, but it's very what you would think that it is. Because Michael, how many shows have you done? Fitness, like bodybuilding shows? 50. So 50 times Michael has executed his diet to the point where he had body fat that was in the 3?
Low.
Really, really low. So that, and I think that's most people are chasing a lower body fat, and he's done it 50 times over. So the fact that you've done that over and over again is a testament to know that what you're doing and what you've figured out is how you do it. And this is his formula. So give it to him.
My formula.
Your formula for losing weight.
So
and what you eat.
When it comes to losing body fat and getting absolutely shredded, those are kind of two different things there, by the way. A lot of people think that, losing or getting lean and getting stage lean are sometimes the same thing. They're very, very different things, and they require very different levels of extreme that go into them and sacrifice.
Yeah.
But if I had to kind of break it down for me and what has worked well for me and what I found success with and what I think is kind of the formula, if you will, is, everything has to start with calories. You have to understand, calories. And one of the mistakes that I think a lot of people make, and that I made a lot of times too, is like, you can't just drop your calories like crazy and expect to get really, really shredded, because when the look that so many people are going for is not like skinny, right? The guys aren't just going for skinny.
There are people that do want that, but they're usually not the ones that are in the gym. Let's be honest.
Usually not.
They're not in the gym, because why would you be in the gym? You can get really skinny by just not eating anything.
Yeah, like most people, they want to show a high level of definition.
Yeah.
They want
Yeah.
their muscles to show,
some shoulders,
and they don't
abs.
want the fat to show with it.
Because I've seen plenty of girls that are stick thin that have no abs.
It's true.
And literally have no definition of anything. So.
And that's like, if all you do is just drop your calories crazy low, you won't be able to support your muscle mass. And then what'll happen is, you know, people don't realize this, but you end up losing, most people that go on a weight loss program end up losing 50% or more of that weight from muscle.
Ooh.
Which is huge. And that's
not what you want.
That's the trick.
Yeah, that is the trick.
How do you lose that body fat, but retain or even build that muscle?
Yeah.
And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, just dropping your calories really low doesn't work. So, so there's some key things that have been my formula. Number one is you have to keep your protein high. You have to make sure that you are consuming at least 1 gram per pound of protein per pound of body weight.
Okay, what proteins are you eating?
So the proteins that I eat when I'm getting ready for a show are egg whites and chicken, a lot of chicken. And I do protein powder, so whey protein powder, and I'll do some salmon, and sometimes, occasionally, a lean beef as well. But that's really it.
Remember when you used to eat tilapia?
I do.
That was so, like, I think back about it, it's so disgusting.
It is so gross.
So, like, remember when we found out they, like, literally just, like, continuously eat their own poop to, like...
They're just bottom feeders. It's so gross.
I'm not trying to bag on freaking anyone that eats tilapia because you did. You got really lean and you were fine, but...
There's a better way.
There's a better way.
Like, nobody's eating tilapia because they think it tastes good.
That's true.
They're eating it because...
Yeah, but it is much less fishy
It's true. Like,
fish than most fish. So if you were trying to... Because, I mean, you can't beat the protein of a tilapia, though.
You
and,
can.
like, the...
I think you can.
Okay, well, you know what I mean. In fish, like macros, like, there's no fat on it, really.
There is, and that's where people go.
Well, not okay.
That's where people like think there's actually more fat in tilapia than there is in a piece of chicken breast. Like a chicken breast.
Well, I would guess that. I'd say fish.
Has less.
I'm saying if people only wanted to, they didn't want to eat chicken. What is that? Pescatarian?
Yeah, cod. Cod is a great option. That's actually got less.
See, we got.
You know what? Like tilapia's mushy. It gets to this just like. When you cook it, there's so no gross. Like flakiness to it.
It's so gross. I can't believe how much
so
you
gross.
ate.
And that's why I like cod, because cod actually has like flaky to it. Like there's actually, it just seems like an actual fish. So yeah, there was. I'll do some cod when I'm prepping for a show, but quite honestly, like most people that are eating tilapia when they're getting ready, it's not because they want to. It's because some guru told them that they gotta eat fish if they want to get really lean. But and some people think it's so lean, but for anybody who's ever cooked and then cooled tilapia before,
that's true. It congeals.
There's this gel to it. That gel is the fat. I mean, that's the fat that comes from that. And there's sometimes you'll notice there's quite a bit. Like I had
the
times.
Green emoji on my face.
Yeah.
Right now.
There was times where Terrica would feed me tilapia, like driving to shows or something that was cold, and like still had like the gel like hard outside of it. That's when you know you've reached a whole different level of gross. The funny thing about it is that just one time I decided, I was like, this is disgusting. I'm not gonna eat tilapia.
I can't remember the day, but it seriously was literally like a
I
day.
Can't do it
and we were like, no more.
I can't do it anymore. So those are my main protein sources. So again, egg whites, chicken, protein powder. Those are the 3 main ones.
He doesn't eat protein bars.
Occasionally doing beef, like some kind of grass-fed beef. And I'll do, as I get closer to the show, I usually do a wild caught sockeye salmon once a day. I think it's a really good source of protein and fat as well. So you got to keep protein high. And so mine, I go for 300 grams of protein a day is pretty standard at just over 200 pounds. So I go well above the 1 gram per pound mark, which is really no harm for going much above that. But it's hard for a lot of people. It's not hard for me anymore. Then carbohydrates and fats, they have to come down. All right, so you want
And the closer, like the leaner you get, the lower they
yeah.
are.
The one area you're just never going to lower is protein. Like if anything, your protein's going to go up a little bit. But
it should always be like, you should always like it's almost like one of those like the scales where it's like if you take out carbs, you've got to put more protein in there to weigh it back to the, you know, so that anyway.
And the reason why is because carbs are anti-catabolic, which means that they prevent muscle breakdown. So when you start taking carbohydrates away, your risk of muscle breakdown increases quite a bit. So it's a good idea to increase protein when you decrease carbs. But those two have to come down, and just gradually over time, you know, as you need to achieve a certain level of body fat, those two drop, and they drop really low. Like that's the truth that nobody wants to hear.
Yeah.
And like I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, you know, oh yeah, no, I do very low carbohydrates, you know. And I'm like, well, what do you eat? And they're like, well, in the morning I have steak and eggs, you know, and then I'll have like I'll have like a handful of almonds at lunch, and I'll do like a mayo tuna sandwich, just a little bit of bread there. And it's like, whoa, you know, yeah, you've got the lowering carbs part down, but the fat is really high. And that's the truth that people don't want to hear, because if you want to get really lean, like stage level lean, they both have to come down.
It's egg whites, not very much fat.
It's
not very
protein
much carbs.
And veggies. I mean, it really is. And then just strategically throwing in a little bit of starchy carbohydrates here and there, and a little bit of fat here and there. But I mean, that it has to get low.
And what are your carbs that you tend to eat?
The only thing I really eat, and I mean, just you cut out so many of them though. The only starchy carbs that I might have are like oatmeal, and then like cream of rice or jasmine rice. Those are kind of the
rice cakes
three. Sometimes maybe some rice cakes, but I'll do like butternut squash, which I don't even know if that counts as a starchy carbohydrate, more of like a root vegetable there. But that's about it. And it's like 2, maybe 3 very small servings of carbohydrates per day, if I'm lucky. So, and that's it. And then my only fat sources that I get, honestly, towards the end, the only fat sources I get is just 1 fatty meat per day. So that's like the wild caught sockeye salmon, or you know, some kind of red meat that I'll do for and that's it. I mean, I go very low fat. I do my fish oil every day, take a high amount of fish oil just to make sure I'm getting some kind of fatty acids in. But it's not pretty. And that's what I think a lot of people they're like, oh, I might do a bodybuilding show. That sounds kind of fun. Not if you want to be ready. It's not much to it. Yeah. And then it's just simplicity. Like, I'm just going to eat the same thing every day because I don't want to think about it. Some people will try to, you know, like, hey, let's try and make a fun calorie-friendly pizza. Not on prep. Like, I just don't even want to think about it. It's annoying, you know. You're trying to put everything in there. So, very high water too. I mean, water usually gets 2.5 gallons a day towards the end. And then I salt all my meals. Quarter teaspoon of salt minimum on all my meals there as well. So that's kind of the gist of. That's
his recipe, and it's worked for him 50 times. So I think that what should people take away from that? Like, if they're not doing a show, but they want to lose weight and they want to do it kind of like that, just like more simplistic. They want to go, you know, as like basic as they can, so they don't have to think about a lot. Like, what should they take away from that?
But I always tell people losing weight is easy, losing body fat is hard. You can't just drop your calories down and pay no attention to
the macros.
You have to have.
Well, you can, but you won't like that.
not to get that look that most people are going for. You have to have a high amount of protein coming in on a daily basis, and be cautious. You know, you have to be very aware of your starchy carbohydrates and your added fats as well. Fats just add up so quick. The peanut butter, the avocado, the salad dressing, like gets out of hand very quick.
I think that honestly is probably, I'm gonna venture to say, like 80% of the population's like problem is they don't like think about the little things that add up so quickly. And it's like, if they just yeah, if they tracked their food for like a week, they'd be like, holy crap, like that dressing alone was like 500 calories each day that I was eating. Even though I was eating a salad, I'm thinking that I'm like healthy. The salad dressing, the cheese, the, you know, all the addings on to the salad, it would have been better to go with a burger. You know, like that's the sad reality of our like society, because it's in everything. So you can't be like, I'm gonna eat a salad and be healthy, because it's not like that anymore. Like maybe back in the day when a salad was literally a salad, like lettuce and probably not even any dressing. I would assume like that's probably something that's been brought over the last couple of decades. Like I would assume like back in the day when you had cabbage, you like what? Like steamed it for a while and put salt and pepper on it.
That's the only way that they got people to eat vegetables was they invented ranch. Yeah. And they're like, okay, ranch and butter.
Oh, people eat them now.
But you know, it's funny though, because a lot of people, that's it. That's all you eat for protein. How boring, egg whites and chicken and just a couple of those things. Why don't you ever do like turkey? And it's like, well, even like your ground turkey that you find in the stores, usually at least 7% fat. Yeah. And that adds up quite a bit, especially at high amounts of protein. You know, why don't you ever do steak? And it's because like, well, because it has a lot of calories. Or
salmon.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do it for every meal because the fat is so high. And I think
careful of what kind of salmon.
Yeah, it's like you could like order, I feel like people, you know, like at a restaurant, they're like, oh, I'm going to order the salmon and asparagus to be healthy. Where it has almost the same amount of calories as probably a steak.
Yeah.
The filet. And then the asparagus is usually cooked in a pan of butter.
Yeah.
Because he's been on prep multiple times where he's had a work thing or something that he's had to eat out somewhere. And when he asks to get the asparagus cooked with nothing, literally they like don't even know what they're like speaking in a different language. They're like, well then how are we cooking?
Like, I mean, I guess we could just kind of steam it for you, but that's not very good. Could you not cook my steak in butter? Well, how else are we going to cook your steak?
Exactly. So
that stuff adds up quite a bit. But yours is, I mean, your nutrition is very different than mine. You have different goals than mine.
Literally night and day difference. So there's something for everybody in this podcast, because I am nothing like Michael. Like I am, okay, I do have to say, I am pretty like, I wouldn't say ritualistic, but like I do have the things that I like, and I found that I like them in abundance. Like what I mean is like day after day I can eat them, you know? And so I found those things that I'm literally fine eating every day, and I don't really have to venture too far from that. So, and maybe there's people that don't feel that way, but I mean, we're foodies at heart. I'm not saying I don't like good food. I'm just saying there's a place for it, and that place isn't in my everyday like menu. So I'm not saying I don't like food. I love food. And for a while, I think both of us were like on this like food focus like all the time like problem. And I think both of us have come out of you've come out of your like show prep and like bodybuilding era and figured out a way to eat and eat the things that you want to eat without gaining a bunch of body fat and continuing to stay how you want to look, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I felt like I've done the same thing, but in a different like pathway. So, maybe you could ask me some questions.
I want to ask you some questions.
Okay, so I'm asking some questions because it's hard. It would be hard for me to be like, this is what I eat every day, because it is a little different. But okay,
I've got good ones. Okay. Do you have a set amount of meals that you eat per day?
No.
So how many meals do you eat per day, usually?
If I was to say a meal is sitting down with a plate, an entire plate of food, I would say one time a day.
So what else do you, and when do you eat your meal? So your one meal where you actually sit down with a plate.
Yes.
When do you eat that?
I eat that at night with you.
After dark?
Yeah.
Isn't that
right
bad?
Before bed.
That was bad. When,
so bad.
Well, and
you know
why?
What?
Why do you do that?
I have a something to add to that. So when I lived in California for a while, I was part of this boot camp like thing. Mm-hmm. And I would and you had to like track your food, and you would like give it to him every like week or whatever. And it had, the funny thing is, it had no calorie count on it. It just had like what you ate.
What you were supposed to eat.
So no, like what you ate. Like it was just, but it had no like calorie. Like there was no numbers on there, which I don't really get the point of it. Anyway, long story short, on the thing, it had like not rules, but like it was like not to eat after 6 p.m. was one of the things that was like here's a list, like keep your protein high, like try to stay protein focused, blah blah blah, try not to eat past 6 p.m. Why is that? Like, why was that a thing?
You know, it's
like,
not.
Where did that come from?
And this is why part of why we do the podcast, because it's not a bad rule to follow not to eat late at night.
No.
I mean, there's lots of people that there's lots of research that would suggest that, you know, not eating a couple hours before bed helps promote better sleep, but everything has to be individualized to you. You can follow all these standard rules, but these standard rules don't know you and they don't know your life. So why do you eat late at night, one meal, and why have you done that forever?
Okay, well, I don't think it's been forever.
For a long time.
For a long time.
Many years.
But I found in my life, in my lifestyle, I was eating meals where I was literally like stuffing food in my face to like get food in. And I never ate it hot, like when it was because we have so many kids. We have 6 kids, and it's hard. Every mom out there knows the minute they sit down to eat food, their kids need something, want something goes wrong, and they have to like leave their food. It's just how it is. They have like an alarm set on them. Mom's sitting down to eat, so I am gonna go and F things up in the house. So that I think catapulted the situation. So that was one of the reasons. It was like, I'm just gonna eat at night. And another reason is I feel like I'm just a person that when I eat, I like to be full. And maybe that's a problem. And the way that I've curbed the problem is when I eat at night, I am like literally entirely full. And sometimes like too full, to be honest. But I normally just don't eat a whole lot during the day. So it's okay, it all balances each other out. I could eat the same amount of calories that's in my dinner throughout the day and have probably 2 other meals and like divide the calories up. But I don't like to do that. I like to feel full. I like to eat my food when it's hot and no one's bothering me. And food makes me tired. It doesn't matter what time of the day. When I used to eat breakfast, after I ate breakfast, the minute I was done, all I wanted to do was go back to bed. And it happened day after day, any time of the day that I would eat. And maybe people think that would be like what is that? Like a glucose problem or like a blood sugar issue. But I mean, I go to the doctor, right? I don't have like anything like that. Just for my body, that's just what my body does.
And it's such a good example of just, again, you can pay attention to the research and you can know we're supposed to do this, we're supposed to do that. But sometimes that's paralyzing. And in my experience, what I've noticed is that most people that just try to like follow every little nutrition rule to a T, they end up just annoyed and frustrated. And they're like, well, this doesn't work for my life, so I guess nutrition and fitness doesn't work for my life, and that's just not the case. So, and you've even adopted, I've even adopted a lot of that from you, you know, the eating later at night, because for years and years I just shoved my face because it was time to eat, you know, and I never really enjoyed the food. And I think we both agree that food is meant to be enjoyed. And I did the same thing, like if I have a big meal, so I was like, have your big meal around your workout, right? Because
so I can have my big meal workout.
And I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired. And I found my focus has gotten a lot better eating lighter throughout the day, you know? So I think that's even on prep, I'll eat my biggest meal right before bed. So you have that one meal per day, but what else do you eat throughout the day? Well,
I do still try to keep it protein focused. So I have a protein bar on my way to the gym. I usually eat like half of it, just so that I have something, because sometimes obviously like not being fasted during your workout, like obviously like you can maybe feel like a little like dizzy. I guess you can. I normally never do, but it's just like it's just what I do. It's like a ritual. Every day I eat like half the bar on the way to the gym, and then I eat most of the rest of it. Sometimes, not all of it, on the way home. But sometimes if my workout's really like hard, I'll be like ravenous and eat the rest of it, which is only like 180 calories, so it's really not that much food. Anyways, so then when I get home, I still usually do eat something, whether that's I really like cottage cheese and I really like jerky. And sometimes if we have not jerky or cottage cheese, I'll eat some of Mike's grilled chicken. Like just a couple of pieces.
She does like those burnt ends of the grilled chicken.
I would say after my workout, I probably eat like 200 calories from, let's just say 1 o'clock, because that's usually when I'm done at the gym, until about 3. I would say that, like in that amount of time. But I don't ever like, it's not a ritual. Nothing else in my day is a ritual other than my protein. Yeah, routine, ritual. But I don't eat anything else on routine for the rest of the day. So sometimes it's cottage cheese, sometimes I don't eat anything because I just don't have time. And my body is so used to it, I don't ever get hangry. Do I ever get hangry? I don't think you've ever seen me hangry.
No, never.
Seriously.
No, she doesn't.
I don't think that I have. My body is like, I really do think like fasting is not for everybody. I don't think some people's bodies are meant to fast. Like you get hangry, and like some of my friends, like literally every 2 hours they're like, I have to eat something right now or I'm gonna like lose my freaking mind. And that is like so foreign to me. So I do think that fasting is specific to if it works for you and you like doing it. I do think you can train your body to fast longer and longer over a period of time. So like, you can't all of a sudden be eating 5 meals a day and then be like, okay, I'm gonna start fasting and only eating 1 meal a day. I do think if you took 1 meal out every day for like 5 months, you could probably end up making it
But
work.
again, that's all part of finding what works for you. Like, you know, you can
like
see some people that are like, you have to fast, it's the best thing ever. Then people try and fast and they're like, oh, it's miserable, I can never do this. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to fast. Like having a breakfast in the morning, it feels good to me. I like it. And you know, even if there were some kind of small advantage to fasting, I'd still choose eating breakfast. And I think that's where it's like finding the good, better, best. Like, yeah, there might be the best way to eat might not be having this massive meal before bed. But we control our calories, and you know, we make sure we eat primarily whole food, so that's better, you know, than what it could be. Do you ever count your calories?
Not anymore. I did it for about, I would say like 4 to 5 years, pretty religiously. But I feel like now I have a pretty good gauge of what everything is, because I don't really stray from what I eat. I mean, if we were to go out like at a restaurant, I'd probably be off on the calories more so than I would.
I think that's one of the benefits, though, of like eating kind of the same type of way every day. Is that you can be like, okay, this works pretty well. You know, but if you're just totally eating just massively different schedule every day,
going to Maverick and getting like a different burrito every day.
Then it's like, I don't know, when I'm gaining weight, I don't really know what to cut out or anything. So how do you make adjustments to your, like, what makes you decide whether you're eating too much or too little?
I can feel it, like in my body. I feel like I'm pretty cued in on just the way that I feel. I haven't weighed myself for years. That's one thing. I think that it's a toss up. I think some people need to weigh themselves to keep themselves accountable, and other people will keep themselves accountable because they'll keep themselves accountable. That makes sense. Like, I can feel, I can see, I can look at myself and know if I'm like, all right. And honestly, if I eat too much, like, and you probably know this about me, like, I'll just be like, I'm not gonna eat for the next like 2 meals. Like, I can't, because I feel it. And so I can gauge where my body's at, I think pretty good. And I think my weight has been about the same since I stopped weighing myself, so.
You're pretty well in tune with that.
Yeah,
I think that's an important part of it.
Yeah, and I think that with time, if you are eating healthy, if you're exercising, you will be more in tune with your body and what it needs, what it, you know, all of the stuff.
It really is, and I think that's so important. Like, you should establish a baseline of like what good feels like. I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is they don't even know what good feels like.
Exactly. That is that's a light bulb moment
to like, you have to get to that point where you're like, okay, this is what good feels like, and then start making some comparisons and some connections. Like, I know for me, it's like after we eat too heavy for a while, like I feel it, like I feel my fingers get a little puffy, you know, I can tell that my stomach's a little more distended than it was before, and you know, I'll bend over to tie my shoes and I can tell it's like, oh, I can actually feel my stomach there, which I don't like. And having that baseline to compare it to, I think is really, really important. So if nothing else, like, it's worth just figuring out what good feels like, looks like for you, so you can then make some adjustments when you need to.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for people to understand, is getting to the baseline. Because I think so many people are so far from the baseline. It makes me so sad that people are so like unhealthy. That's what I would say. Like, you're so unhealthy that you don't even know what good feels like.
Yeah, everybody deserves to know what good feels like. They really do.
In your body,
And I think kind of just the whole summary of all this is, you know, there's so many different ways to skin a cat, so to speak, and
so many ways to lose weight.
There's so many ways to go about it, and I would just not get caught up in like, well, I'm supposed to do this or I'm supposed to do that.
Mike ate tilapia.
And it didn't help at all. I think I looked better when I didn't. And what I'm saying is, like, comparing tilapia to chicken.
Yeah.
Like, I like chicken 1,000 times better.
Yeah. And it didn't make a difference.
You know, it didn't make a difference.
So,
and, eating at night, like, you know, not eating after dark.
I'm the leanest that I've been, and I eat every night at night.
It makes no difference. And sometimes it's just the stress, like, honestly.
Yeah.
And, like, what I found for me is if I don't eat at night, I can't sleep. Like, I get too hungry.
Yeah.
And then my sleep's screwed up. And if you're just messing with your sleep or your stress, well, those are bad things.
Yeah,
they really are, like, worse than just about anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to find what works for you, and don't be afraid to go outside of what they say you should do.
Yeah.
And
even what we say, like, none of this is geared towards everybody making the same decision as Trainer Mike or me, or like fasting or eating asparagus and chicken for every meal. Like, you will find what you like. And if you are counting your calories, and if you know your baseline of feeling good, like, then that's where you can branch off into what works for you. So we could tell you right now, this is the food to make you lose weight. But most people aren't going to like that, and they're not going to do it. That's the biggest key to all of this, is like, if you don't do it, it's not going to happen. It's, you know, you shoot, or you what's the shoot every shot? If you miss every, there we go. You miss every shot you don't take. So if you aren't going to take the shot because you're like, that's disgusting, why in the world? I'm never going to lose weight because I'm not going to eat chicken and asparagus. That's what we're saying, is like opposite of what we're saying. You know, we're saying find what works for you, and then it will work for you.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's exactly right, and hopefully that's you get some message of that takeaway as well, and we hope that you gathered something from hearing our perspective on nutrition, how we do things.
Yeah, we do things differently for each of us in general, and then we everything is different about what we do, other than eating at night and we've both found things that work for us, and they're totally different from each other.
I will also say this, like, it's important to understand this is just our perspective, because there's very few people that could get away eating the way you eat and be as strong as you are or have as much muscle as you do. Like, you just naturally carry more muscle. You naturally, like, have a stronger body than, I would say, the majority of people. Like, most people have to pay much closer attention to their nutrition to achieve, you know, the level of muscle and strength that you have. But it's not the case for you, and everybody's different.
And that's the thing, is like, everyone is different, and the same goes for you. Like,
I can eat crumble cookies every week getting ready for a show.
Exactly, and there's no way that I could have done that.
I wouldn't recommend that for other people. So.
Yeah, exactly. So we can't tell you exactly what to eat, even though the title is What to Eat to Lose Weight. We're telling you it can be so many variety of things. We've told you what works for us. That doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So we will see you guys and talk to you guys next time on the Fit Couples Perspective.
Adios.
Bye.